What is going on, everybody? It is me again. It's Horror Fan 34, and welcome to another video. And welcome to another review for the 31 Days of Horror Challenge in October. Getting on to this one now. And I think this is from, 1996. No, 95. Sorry, 1995. And I figured this would be kind of a good one to talk about. Because I do like the movie, but it's not as good as the other film. I will say that, though, when I get to it, though, to the title. But I figured this would be a pretty interesting one to talk about, because it's like a mixture of like a horror comedy, and I will say it's got a pretty solid cast involved, but I'll get to it, though. But I'm going to be reviewing Bordello of Blood. Tales from the Crypt presents Bordello of Blood. Now, of course, this came out in 1995. This is directed by Gilbert Adler, who worked on a lot of the Tales from the Crypt TV show. Now, I'm saying I do like the movie, but has flaws in it, though, that I wouldn't say I like it as much as Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, which is a much better movie than this one. If I had to choose between the two of them, I'd pick Demon Knight over this any day of the week. But there's still some fun to have with this movie. So, I mean, for people who don't know the story about Bordello Blood, basically it deals with, you have, this guy named Caleb, who is played by Corey Feldman. He has a sister played by Erica Leniak, who was in Under Siege. And Corey Feldman gets into an argument with his sister one day, and he leaves the house, and he decides to meet his friend at a bar. And then him and his friend find out about this place, and then they find out it's a brothel that's overrun by vampires. And then one thing leads to another. Corey Feldman goes missing, and then Erica Leniak wants to go look for him. So she enlists the help of this private eye, Rave Gutman, played by Dennis Miller, to go look for Corey Feldman. And that's pretty much the entire premise of the movie. Now, first off, with the cast, I know a lot of people do not like Dennis Miller's style of comedy, but I happen to like Dennis Miller. I will admit I do like Dennis Miller, and especially I would say this is my favorite role he's ever played. It was in this movie. Now, I know that there's actually a making-of documentary on here that's actually pretty interesting to watch, considering if you're a fan of the film or not. It's still an interesting watch to see how much of a bad production this had, about how Dennis Miller was an asshole and treated everybody with disrespect, and Corey Feldman kind of gets into a little bit of that on the documentary, how Corey Feldman pretty much said, Dennis Miller was a piece of shit to work with. But Dennis Miller, without a doubt, steals the show in this. Now, I know they originally wanted, I think, Daniel Baldwin for the Rave Gutman role, and the head vampire, I wonder if they Lilith, who's the main chick, the main vampire, played by Angie Everhart. This is around the time she was with Sylvester Stallone, when this was around the time Stallone was doing Assassins, and him and Angie Everhart were an item together. And Joel Silver, who's actually a producer on this, was working with Stallone on Assassins. And then Stallone recommended to Joel Silver, hey, do you think you can put my girlfriend in a movie? And Joel Silver said, sure. So that's how he got Angie Everhart to be the villain of the movie. And for Angie Everhart, I know this was like her first acting role she ever did, because before this she was known as a model. I thought she did fine as the villain. But Dennis Miller, I was getting back to Dennis Miller, he's easily the best thing about the film. Now, Dennis Miller pretty much improvised all of his dialogue, pretty much, because he didn't like the script, so he decided to just wing everything. So, but some of the stuff that Dennis Miller came up with on his own I thought was rather funny. Like, there's a point where he's talking with this guy in the bar, and he's giving this guy shit in the bar, and the guy's like, come on, step outside. And Dennis Miller's like, sorry, I'm not in the mood for a blowjob. I thought that was pretty damn funny. Also, another point, too, when Dennis Miller gets to the brothel with the vampires, he's talking to one of the she-vampires, and then he says to her, you know, I'd rather crazy glue my dick to the bullet train than fuck you. I'm like, I'm just laughing my ass off. Um, there's even a point where I think he's talking to his wife, and he's like, you reminded me of why being married to you drove me to the brink of homosexuality. Um, so, the Dennis Miller with that steals the show in this. I really do like Dennis Miller. I thought he was very entertaining to watch. He's very fun in the movie. Like I said, Erica Leniak does a fine job as the main female vampire. Erica Leniak does a fine job as the sister of Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman plays the brother. Granted, his character is really not likable because he's an asshole of a character, but and Corey Feldman's acting is so cheesy and over the top when he becomes a vampire. Hey, sis, nice to see you, sis. When he's all like in the vampire form, Corey Feldman's extremely hamming it up and cheesy, over the top. Just kind of the charm I have with it. You also have, I almost forgot, you have Chris Sarandon as a sort of a preacher guy in this. So I'm like, yeah, right there with the guitar. It's Chris Sarandon. Now, I will say the best scene in the whole movie. There's two good things about this film that I really do enjoy. There's two main things. The first is Dennis Miller, and the second thing I really enjoy most about this movie is the scene when Chris Sarandon and Dennis Miller decide to fight off these vampires in this brothel with water guns full of holy water. And when they're shooting and killing vampires and vampires are exploding, some practical gore effects, some CGI effects here and there, but mostly practical gore, vampires blowing up. And they're killing all these vampires with water guns, with holy water, and Ballroom Blitz is playing in the background. Back to the Ballroom Blitz, Ballroom Blitz. While they're killing vampires. That's easily my favorite scene in the whole movie. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's very, very just fun. Now, a couple of flaws with the movie. The movie doesn't really feel that focused in a sense, because like it kind of switches kind of like tones here and there. It kind of doesn't decide whether it wants to be a dark movie or a comedy. And also too, the ending to this absolutely sucks, asshole. The ending to this absolutely fucking blows. I'm not going to say what it is, but if you've seen the film, you definitely know what I mean. For people who haven't, I'm not going to say, but the ending to this sucks ass. The ending is absolutely trash. That's why I'm saying, like, I can't really... that's why I'm saying I like the movie, but I can't say I really love it because of the ending, because the ending kind of ruins it a little bit for me. But overall, it's fun, it's entertaining. I like Dennis Miller. It was cool to like see like Erica Leniak and Corey Feldman. You also have Phil in the very beginning. You have Phil Fondacaro as like a little person who like brings back the vampire Lilith. If you remember, he was in Ewok and Return of the Jedi. He was in Ghoulies 2, and I believe he was in Troll as well. He's in there in the very beginning. Also, a couple of cameo appearances. Like in the very beginning, you have like the Crypt Keeper talking to this mummy. The mummy is actually William Sadler, who was in Demon Knight, and he was in Die Hard 2 and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and The Mist and Shawshank Redemption, a lot of other stuff. And if you miss it, if you blink it, you miss it. But miss it. If I can talk right, there's a patient on a gurney, like a hospital gurney. If you blink, you miss it. But it's Whoopi Goldberg, and it's uncredited. I'm like, holy shit, that's Whoopi Goldberg. So that was kind of interesting to see. Another cast member that I recognized in this as well was Corey Feldman's buddy, who plays the character of Reggie. I think it's what was the actor's name? Matt Hill. I think that was the actor's name, Matt Hill. If anybody remembers on the Cartoon Network way back in the day, the TV show, the Cartoon Network show Ed, Edd and Eddy. You had like Double D, you had Eddie, who was the scammer guy, Double D, who was the intelligent one, and Ed was sort of like the dumb, but lovable character who had the unibrow. That's Matt Hill. He voiced Ed on Ed, Edd and Eddy, and he's actually Corey Feldman's friend in this movie. But you get some nice bits of gore in here. hearts being ripped out and things like that. It's bloody and it's entertaining, but the ending almost in a way kind of ruins the movie for me personally because I hate the way it ends. But overall, I recommend Bordello of Blood. I think it's a fun watch, but definitely nowhere near as good as Demon Knight. So that's pretty much it for my review for Bordello of Blood. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.